Good morning to everybody and Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Muhammad Ruhul Amin, working as Associate Professor and Head of the Department of the Ophthalmology, Bosundara Abdin Medical College Hospital. Today I will discuss about the questions which are usually asked in the Viva exam and may come in the written exam on cornea. You know, the cornea is the most anterior part, which consists the anterior 1/6 of the outer coat of the eyeball, which is a transparent avascular structure of the cornea, structure of the eye. The most common question usually asked on the what are the layers of the cornea. Cornea consists of consists of 5 layers from before backwards: the corneal epithelium, Bowman's membrane, corneal stroma, Descemet's membrane, and the corneal endothelium. These are the 5 layers, and the corneal epithelium also consists of 5 to 6 layers of cells. Most superficial cells are flattened. These are the squamous variety, non-keratinized, and the diffuse cells are columnar type, and the cells are usually cubical in shape. Next, you may ask what do you mean by corneal ulcer? Corneal ulcer may be defined as the breach of continuity of the surface epithelium of the cornea. Then next question may come, what are the types of corneal ulcer? We may classify the corneal ulcer as purulent corneal ulcer or suppurative corneal ulcer, non-purulent corneal ulcer, allergic ulcer, and degenerative type of corneal ulcer. Then you may ask, what do you mean by hyphomeal corneal ulcer? Hyphomeal corneal ulcer may be defined as the corneal ulcer associated with pus in the anterior chamber. Then next question may ask, what are the common organisms responsible for hyphomeal corneal ulcer? Common organism is the pneumococcus, then the fungus. Pneumococcus and fungus are the most common organism for the hyphomeal corneal ulcer. Then question will come to you, how you will manage a case of corneal ulcer. You may ask how you will manage a case of bacterial corneal ulcer, or how you will manage a case of fungal corneal ulcer. Usually when we diagnose the case as a bacterial corneal ulcer, we give antibiotic, drop and ointment. Then we give mydriatics like atropine, 1% eye drop, and analgesic. And for nutrition, we give the nutritional supplement like vitamin C. These are the basic principle of treatment: the antibiotic, drop and ointment, mydriatics, and analgesic, and vitamin C. Then you may ask give the name of some antibiotic, drop and ointment. Then you will give answer like you should always select the broad spectrum antibiotic like ciprofloxacin or getafloxacin or levofloxacin preparation, and the antibiotic ointment. Pediatrics usually give the atropine. We give it to relieve the pain by cycloplasmic action, and also to prevent the posterior synechia. If there is no synechia, to prevent the posterior synechia. If already there is posterior synechia, we give cycloplasmic drug to break the posterior synechia. Another question you may ask, what are the signs and symptoms of corneal ulcer? The symptoms, usually patient come with pain in the eye with on exposure to the sunlight, there is watering or lacrimation, and there is photophobia, that is unable to look to the bright light or intolerance to light, and patient may come with headache and blurring of vision. Then what are the signs of corneal ulcer? There is marked blepharospasm, and there is rough and raw yellowish white area on the cornea which stains with the fluorescent dye and does not show any window reflex. There is haziness of the cornea surrounding the ulcerated area due to the infiltration of the stroma by the inflammatory cells, and you get the ciliary congestion with conjunctival hyperemia, and there is profuse watering, but usually no mucopurulent discharge. Patient, you may get in case of bacterial corneal ulcer, you will get the purulent discharge, but in case of viral corneal ulcer, you will get only the watering. And in case of hypopyon corneal, you may get the corneal ulcer may be associated with hypopyon, that is there is pus in the anterior chamber, and sometimes you will get a case of corneal ulcer with uveal reaction, that is we will get the signs of uveitis, like there is cells and flare in the anterior chamber, the iris will become the muddy color, and there may be posterior synechia. Sometimes you may get there is blood vessels at the periphery of the cornea may encroach the limbus, from the limbus towards the center of the cornea, that is there is pannus formation or vascularization of the cornea. How we diagnose the case of corneal ulcer? Primarily we diagnose that it is ulcer, whether it is ulcer or not, by giving the fluorescent dye. After that we do the corneal, we take the corneal scraping for microscopic examination and culture and sensitivity, by which we diagnose whether it is a case of bacterial corneal ulcer or fungal corneal ulcer. Then accordingly we give the treatment. Initially we start the treatment on clinical diagnosis, and at the same time we send the material for the examination for pathological confirmation, and then if needed we change the treatment, but initially we start the treatment on the basis of clinical diagnosis. What are the complications may occur in a case of corneal ulcer? If the corneal ulcer may not treated properly, or if the patient come to the doctor lately, there may be perforation of the corneal ulcer, and there may be development of the secondary glaucoma due to fibrinous exudate deposited in the angle of the anterior chamber, and also it is due to the formation of the posterior synechia, like if it is 360 degree posterior synechia, there is development of secondary glaucoma. And another complication is the slough out of the corneal ulcer and followed by corneal opacity, development of corneal opacity. These are the usual complications of the corneal ulcer. Then another question may come to you as what are the management of a case of fungal corneal ulcer. We usually give antifungal drop and ointment and mydriatics and analgesic. Sometimes we give the systemic antifungal drug for the management of a case of fungal corneal ulcer. If you asked what are the usual causes of fungal corneal ulcer. Fungal corneal ulcer, most common causes of the most common fungus is the Aspergillus and Candida albicans. These two are the most common cause, and usually mode of infection usually associated with the trauma with herpes. And what are the clinical signs of fungal corneal ulcer? What will how you can diagnose a case of fungal corneal ulcer clinically? If you that is the signs of fungal corneal ulcer, you will get there is dry, circular, yellowish white disc on the cornea surrounded by a yellow gutter of demarcation. There is hypopyon formation. This hypopyon is usually thick. This pus is thick and attached with the corneal endothelium, so that when patient change its posture, in case of fungal corneal ulcer, the hypopyon does not change its position, but in case of bacterial corneal ulcer, it is thinner and there is change of fluid level of the hypopyon in case of bacterial corneal ulcer, and there is ciliary congestion, and on a scraping from the ulcerated area we will get the fungus. We can diagnose the fungus clinically at the bedside by putting the scraping material in the potassium hydroxide, and after 24 hours we will see there is development of fungus under microscope. Another question sometimes asked from corneal physiology, like how the cornea gets its nutrition. The answer will be the cornea gets its nutrition from the perilimbal vessels, air and the aqueous humor. There is oxygen from air, get the oxygen from air and get nutrition from the aqueous humor and the perilimbal vessels. Sometimes you may ask what is the nerve supply of the cornea. Nerve supplies of the cornea is the nasociliary nerve, which is a branch of the ophthalmic division of the trigeminal nerve, and it is a purely sensory nerve. It carries only the sensory sensation, that is the pain, touch and thermal sensation. There is no kinesthetic sensation in the cornea. And these nerve fibers are unmyelinated, so that the cornea remains transparent. One of the complications of the corneal ulcer is the corneal opacity. Then you may ask what are the grading of the corneal opacity. It is nebular type of corneal opacity, macular type of corneal opacity and the leucoma. When there is full thickness opacity, then it is called leucoma. That is, the corneal opacity you can classify on the basis of density of the opacity. when the density of the opacity is involving the whole thickness of the cornea, then you will get the leucoma. That is, there will be a white spot in the cornea. Then when there is involvement of the Bowman's layer, then we will get the nebular type of opacity, and when there is involvement of the partial involvement of the corneal stroma, then you will get the macular type of opacity. Clinically, we differentiate these three types of opacity. When we project light through this opacity to see the anterior chamber, that is to see the iris. In case of leucoma, you will not see anything behind it, but in case of nebular type of opacity, you will see the iris detail, and in case of macular type of opacity, you will see there is something behind the cornea, but you cannot see the details of the iris. So, clinically we can differentiate the density of the opacity by projecting light through the opacity, and we can classify as nebular, macular and leucoma type of corneal opacity. Corneal opacity usually develop in following healed corneal ulcer, following penetrating injury of the cornea, following healed keratitis. In case of viral, sometimes there may be development of viral keratitis. Recurrent attack of viral keratitis may result in corneal opacity, permanent corneal opacity. There may be opacity in the cornea following some surgery, and there may be corneal opacity following insertion of the foreign body in the cornea, damaging the deeper structures. You should keep in mind when there is involvement of the Bowman's membrane and the stroma, only at that time you will get the opacity. Involvement of the corneal epithelium, only involvement of the corneal epithelium, there will be no opacity in the cornea. How we will manage a case of leucoma? Usually, if it is a small size of leucoma and it is not in the optical zone of the cornea, you know, the center 4 millimeter of the cornea is the optical zone, that is which portion is necessary for our visual purpose. If the opacity is not in the optical zone, there is no need of surgical management of the leucoma, but cosmetically we can do tattooing of the opacity, so that cosmetically there will you cannot demarcate the white opacity if you give it the color of the iris during tattooing. If the leucoma is in the central part of the cornea involving the optical zone, in that case we will do keratoplasty. Penetrating keratoplasty is the only the treatment of choice. Another question may ask to you, what do you mean by adherent leucoma? It means adhesion of the part of the iris to the leucoma. That is, when the iris is attached to the corneal opacity posteriorly, then we call it adherent leucoma. What are the diagnostic criteria for adherent leucoma? We will get the presence of brownish pigment in the leucoma, which is derived from the iris pigment, and the anterior chamber will be shallow and unequal depth. The depth will be unequal and the chamber will be shallow, and the pupil sometimes lost its normal circular shape. That is, the shape of the pupil will be distorted, and pupil is visible, made drawn to the site of adhesion. In case of adherent leukemia, we will get these three signs. And another question may come, how the adherent leukemia is formed. When there is perforation of the corneal ulcer, or when there is perforating corneal ulcer, when aqueous humor flows towards the site of perforation, at that time iris also moves towards the site of perforation and seal the perforated area, and it remains adherent with this injured site of the cornea, and remains when the corneal ulcer healed up and there is development of adherent leukemia. What are the complications of adherent leukemia? There may be development of secondary glaucoma. Most common complication is the secondary glaucoma, because as the anterior chamber becomes shallow and irregular in depth, and there is also narrowing of the angle of the anterior chamber. So there is obstruction in the drainage of the aqueous humor through the angle of the anterior chamber. As a result, there is rise of intraocular pressure. These are the most common questions which usually asked from cornea. Next we will discuss about the topics on tear production and on the nutritional deficiency, that is the xerophthalmia. In the next class we will talk about xerophthalmia and tear fluid. Thank you all.